The Irish stew most people know today isn't quite the stew Irish families were eating centuries ago. There was usually no beef, no fancy stock, and if you go back far enough, there weren't even potatoes. So how did one of the simplest meals in Ireland become one of its most famous? This is the story of Irish stew. For centuries, sheep were an important part of rural Irish life. They provided wool and milk, and when an older animal was slaughtered, its tougher mutton could be slowly cooked until tender. Simple dishes built around meat, onions, and whatever else was available made practical sense. But one ingredient would eventually transform Irish cooking: the potato. Potatoes arrived in Europe from the Americas in the 16th century, and by the 18th century, they had become enormously important in Ireland. They grew remarkably well in Irish conditions and could provide a lot of food from a relatively small piece of land. For poorer rural families, that mattered enormously. And when potatoes met slow-cooked mutton and onions, the foundations of what we now recognize as Irish stew began to take shape. There was never just one universal recipe. Some versions were extremely plain. Others included additional vegetables. Later recipes might use lamb instead of older mutton, while versions outside Ireland sometimes added ingredients that traditionalists would never have considered essential. By the 19th century, Irish stew was recognizable enough to appear in published cookbooks, but its importance goes beyond a recipe. This was food built around economy. A few humble ingredients, cooked slowly together, could turn tougher meat into something warming, filling, and deeply satisfying. And during a century marked by poverty, famine, emigration, and enormous social change, simple foods became inseparable from the story of Irish life. As Irish communities spread around the world, their food traditions traveled with them. Today, you'll find Irish stew made with lamb or mutton, potatoes, onions, and sometimes carrots or other vegetables. The details may change from kitchen to kitchen, but the idea remains beautifully simple. Take what you have, cook it slowly, and make it feed the people around your table. Irish stew didn't become famous because it was luxurious. It became famous because generations made something memorable from very little. Every dish has a story,